All right. There we go. Okay, but the most a simple example of alchemy is that it is a biological science based on mastering the chemicals and energies within and without our bodies that are the result of us being human. It is the science of perfecting these chemical energies of our souls, our spirits, and our human bodies through our thoughts, through our feelings, and through food intake and actions. And when the science of alchemy is done correctly, family, it can literally transform us into super healthy human beings that are able to operate at peak performance in almost all that we do. I mean, brothers ask me, what do I take? I say, I don't take any pills. I don't take nothing. I sleep right. I love right. I study right. I eat healthy. But when we master ourselves, both physical and mentally, we can then become masters of our own universe in order to live loving lives that are not only filled with abundance, but through which we can also prevent or cure our own disease and prolong our lives. That's what this alchemy is about, family. This alchemical process that we undergo while living, it also follows us in death. And it is very important that we understand this concept. And not only is it true that what you think and how you act, you shall become, but also how you think and act will determine where your soul will go when you die. An alchemical process that can make someone who is born of immortal energies and chemicals from the heavens to then be transformed into mortal earth energies that become a part of the dark orb because they have changed their whole alchemical makeup while they have lived by not living as they should have. But we must understand how all through the text they give us examples of this alchemy or this alchemical process all through the biblical text. And an example of alchemy in the Bible would be when Yahshua fasted for 40 days and nights in Judea in the desert after being baptized. What was Yahshua doing in the desert? What was he doing? What he was doing was alchemy in the form of solitude, praying, fasting. When you look at the fasting Buddha, there's certain things that we must connect. An example of alchemy in the Bible would be when Jesus fasted for those days. But by going in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, Yahshua was tempted by the devil or that spirit within, but he was successfully able to cleanse these impure thoughts that was within, not only in his mind, but also the impurities from his body, from his flesh. When I say when we eat certain things that we know bad, certain things have to be taken out of you. There's only one way to do it. And once we get it out, we should never put it back in. That's why when I tell brothers, you must get a flush and fill and you must change your hard drive. A flush and fill, just like when you get a car, you got to take all them fluids out of you. When you change your hard drive, you got to get all that false information out of you. That pollution, all that belief based on a lie, all that religion that makes you prejudiced within and not understand the God within. You're looking for somebody outside of yourself to save you. But what the biblical text is describing, family, is describing is an alchemical transformation of this whole chemical makeup into a newly heaven, one made of the stars, the ascension of Yahshua to heaven then occurs 40 days after the resurrection. That can be found in Acts chapter 1 and 3. As Joshua has said in Revelation 22 and 16, he unmistakably identifies himself as the morning star. Don't you know how to make these connections? Comparing alchemy and the Bible is nothing new, but a revival of the hidden biblical teachings that many people have interpreted since the early beginnings of the essence of Christianity, and especially during the Renaissance. Much of the alchemical writings of these biblical scholars had went underground during the Renaissance, when the Church of England had banned many of these teachings, family. In Psalms 12 and 6, the words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. Do you understand the analogy in this? Proverbs 27:21, as the fining pot of silver and the furnace for gold, so is a man to his praise. Revelations 3 and 18, I counsel thee to buy me of gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that, I'm making emphasis on certain words, the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thy eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. And see, when you read to the person that's thinking it in the carnal mind, they totally miss what's within. But the goal of the alchemist, the goal of the theosophist, is to not disturb the elements of earth, of air, of water, and fire, but to make them function properly on the as within of our bodies and minds, so we can function properly on the as without. Are you following me? See, alchemy is the art of liberating parts of the cosmos for temporal existence and achieving perfection. Which, family? For metals is gold, and for man, for you, for me, is that longevity, then that immortality, and finally, redemption. See, material perfection was sought through the action of a preparation, a philosopher's stone for metals, elixir of life for humans, while spiritual ennoblement results from some form of inner revelation or other enlightenment. Gnosis, for example, in the Hellenistic and the Western practices. See, brothers and sisters, when we disturb the elements by wrong thoughts and feeling, food intake, and our actions, we do not function properly on the as within, which is then called strife with the chemical properties in our bodies, and then wreak havoc to them, causing disease, and also cause the quality of our lives to deteriorate until we die of a self-induced death, family. That's what happened to us. But the facts are that most humans are disturbing these alchemical forces at an alarming rate. And this is why we see many diseases like cancer and heart attacks and certain things. But when philosophers, family, like myself, when we speak of this gold and this silver, from which we extract our matter, are you supposed what I'm speaking of is the vulgar gold and silver? By no means vulgar silver and gold. Those things are dead, those tangible things, while those of the philosophers are full of life. But looking through my spiritual eye, when I speak of an esoteric and the Kemetic principles, that I am a practitioner, it is totally based on the heart of alchemy as spiritual, as a spiritual thing. Transmutation of lead into gold is presented as an allegory of personal transmutation, purification, perfection. This approach is often termed spiritual, esoteric, internal, alchemy, family. See, this alchemy is old. The original concept of alchemy comes from us, from Egypt, as the secret doctrine of Hermes. These secret teachings of our soul and body would later migrate to Arabia and would be incorporated into the early schools of Christianity. Concepts that would give rise to allegorical teachings in the Bible that are simply based on alchemy, family. Teachings such as those by the Master Yeshua, which his holy name is, because there never was a J in the Hebrew alphabet, family, who had went in the desert and fast for 40 days and 40 nights. But what alchemy is not, it's like you finna turn something to gold. That's an allegory. That describes what happens to our blood when we become master alchemists who properly manage our thoughts, our feelings, and our food intake and our actions. The proper use of our mind and our body can transform us into humans who operate at a much higher level than other humans who simply do not properly manage their thoughts, their feelings, and their food intake. So we must understand these things. All in medicine, you can research this, of what this alchemical process does when it pertaining to man. That's the as within and so without of the Gnosticism and the alchemy. In order to know thyself, we first need to know how thyself operates. Part of this process, family, involved the study of the occult mysteries of health, universal law of nature, energies of science, and becoming medically familiar with the human body. That's the thing we must understand. You must understand you. But two very important subjects that go hand in hand, or what like I call, or something like I call, is when I use compound words, is theoalchemy. Theo meaning relating to God or deities, and alchemy meaning the human chemistry based on the supposed transformation of the matter. So those are things that I want to be clear on. Our goal as modern Gnostics and alchemists would be to master the science of being human, a science that not only includes the acquirement of knowledge and wisdom, but also the implementation of this knowledge into our lives and our family lives and those that's around us. A gnosis, which is knowledge that can not only transform us into healthy individuals, but also change our very chemical beings into light and truth in order to become closer to the spirit within. That Yahweh, that manifestation, that Allah, that manifestation within man, rather than dark souls like that of the satanic spirit that dwells in the lower self of man. We must change our total chemical makeup to fully experience the alchemical experience of that spirit within, of that God man. But that's what I want us to understand, man. We must understand everything that we talk about has to do what's within. And when man discovers himself, only then he will know the God within. I love you all. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, health, and wealth. Shalom.